Hello, welcome to a process video for Project Life. This is last week for me, so I did this last night. In terms of how long this takes in real life, I think this probably took about, me and my husband split time each night, so we each get an hour, and I do mine in my time, so I'm guessing this took about an hour then, so I guess that would make sense. So that's how long this actually is taking. It's about an hour. I know the video is only 10 minutes, but I think in terms of prep and printing and all that, it takes about an hour, which I don't feel like is too bad. I mean, an entire week in 1 hour is pretty doable, at least for me. Um, so something a little bit different about this week than the typical week for me is that, so the 4x6 cards, the top, of course, and the bottom of the spread are 4x6s, and then the middle are the 3x4s. So I typically like to keep it that way. I don't like to do what I did this week, which is where I split it up. So like the upper right is a 3x4 picture on a 4x6 card. I don't typically like to do that because I kind of like the way that the flow looks of like a solid picture or a solid card. But this week the pictures just didn't work out that way, and the stories didn't work out that way. So it was an exercise in flexibility, and I actually ended up really liking the way that it turned out. So I might do that more in the future. I don't know. Yeah, I liked it. Actually, I also have more decorative cards than usual in this spread. I think just a little bit light on stories this week, which is fine. Just kind of part of life, the ebb and flow and the up and down, just, I don't know if I'm documenting less or if I just feel like less is happening. I'm not sure. It's a pretty busy time of year, so I'm not sure. I'm counting there. I was just counting with my fingers. In terms of spacing, like where do I start? So I counted the letters out, and I think it was 6. So then I knew, okay, so 3 out, 3 in, and then I don't know if I'm making any sense, but moving from the middle out. That way the spacing works nicely. So I knew that that E and that K were going to be the very center. Although a little bit to the left, actually, because there's going to be a space between week and 24. And then just again with kind of photography and the way that I approach this project week by week. So, I typically like to do a food shot if possible, which this week was Cheerios and strawberries, which is something I'm really into right now. And then the picture of my mom doing dishes I really love because I love that she's on the phone with my brother and doing dishes. And I mean, I love that she's doing dishes because that's something I'm very thankful for, but I just love that kind of daily thing. And she watches my daughter for us a couple days a week, and then she's always, before she leaves, she always wants to make sure all the dishes are done, which I actually probably should have written somewhere. I'm looking at this now and realizing I didn't write that anywhere. But I think that's sweet of her, and it's just kind of a small thing that I want to remember. I might write it on the back of the picture, or stick it on a little card and add it in later. I don't know. And then the upper right is a picture of my brother with a lamb chop puppet. He lives in Chicago, so my daughter doesn't see him very much, and I asked him to make a video with that puppet for her because I thought she would really like that, and she loved it. And so I screenshotted the video. If you get a video that you want to screenshot, a helpful thing is to press pause, and then you can scroll real slowly through the video on the bottom if you have an iPhone. I don't really know how this goes on other phones, but what I do is I just scroll through until I find a good capture, a good moment, and then I just screenshot it. And the quality is actually surprisingly good. I mean, it's certainly not going to be winning any photography awards, but it certainly works for my purposes. And then I really wanted to remember that story because that was really special and something she was super into. And then this card that I'm working on right now, those are just some details from her daycare, her room at daycare, and some things like she's always sitting in a teacher's lap, and then the picture on her cubby, and then something that was on the wall with this little train that I thought was cute. So again, none of those felt like important. I don't know if important is the right word, but like substantial enough to take up a lot of room in the spread, but I wanted them to be part of it. So they're just kind of like little details that worked really well, I think, on that card. And then I just do a little bit of journaling about them. underneath each of those flags. I struggled to know like where do I start my journaling and how do I want to space this? That's always just so hard. And something that I always just struggle with in general is kind of handwriting, and there's lots of different ways that I write, depending on, I don't know, the setting and my mood and how much energy my hand has. So I noticed that as I was writing here, my handwriting was like getting very chaotic. And I think it's because I wasn't writing kind of naturally. I was writing wanting it to look a certain way. And that kind of goes against my whole, like, my really core belief about the way that I want all of this to be authentically me. So that's something I'm going to be thinking about more in the future, and being a little bit more, I don't know, just focused on how I really write. And not that I don't write that way, but I guess it's not, I don't know how to explain it. Maybe I need to form my thought a little bit more before I comment on that. I don't really know. I think I see other people's handwriting that I like, and I want mine to look like that. And I battle with the fact that I don't want it to be like that. I want to write how I write. And if it's not cute or hip or whatever, then that's that, because that doesn't matter. What matters is that it's mine. And so, like, this card, I always struggle, like, how much do I embellish? So, there's just that little word card at the top, and that's fine, that's sufficient, but I'm like, ooh, should I put pattern paper behind it? Should I put, it's just always kind of a slippery slope of, like, how much do you do? When am I done? So, I think we struggle with that, as crafters, probably our whole career. At least people like me do. So now I'm moving cards around. I realized the less more card just wasn't going to work for this week. I just wasn't really inspired by it. And that crafting a story I love one day at a time. I'm sorry that I cut that off. I just really liked it, and I thought that it worked nicely. So thank you for watching.